Hello, welcome again to the SCLC Today program, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. We are here, and I was just talking to my producer. We've been here for a number of years with Mr. Rick Clear producing this great program. And for all of you who've given us good feedback, and I count the negativity too, but guess what? I haven't gotten one yet. So we appreciate the fact that you're responding. And when we're not exactly on time with distributing this podcast that's on YouTube and throughout the SCLC community, we know that you are waiting and anticipating for the real facts. You would not see us on any major networks because we have the real facts. Let's talk about the international motivational aspect of this month, which is the Women International Month, and giving homage to all of the leadership and the fellowship and the team of women who has uplift and catapult the movement of SCLC. There are so many women that we could give homage to. But today, I just want to just impactfully emphasize none other than Miss Xernona Clayton. The Women International Movement deserve that respect. She is international. I happened to be on the program a week ago with Miss Clayton, and I was talking about the impact when I was in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in the civil rights movement, and prior to the civil rights movement, when I remember her coming on cable TV, TBS, Mr. Ted Turner program, or TBS, like to have forgotten. It's been so long that the impact that she had, and God just gave it to me before I got involved with any form of TV communication, because I did have another TV program in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, prior to what we do here at SCLC, and being on many networks. The impact that Miss Clayton, Xernona Clayton, had on me, she would bring on many of people relevancy, the relevancy of the impact that it had on me at that particular time. It was amazing. And I never figured in my comments in regards to her recognition last week was that I never thought or contemplated or felt that we would be the best of friends. She's one of my best friends. And, you know, many of people got up and gave the accolades to her. But I was so impressed of the stature without having it erected at the plaza, Xernona Clay Plaza in downtown Atlanta. I mean, she was a statue before she had her statue erected. She worked with Dr. King. She motivated him. She worked with Mrs. Coretta Scott King. And I don't think she, mind me saying, at the age of 91, Mrs. Clayton, Xernona Clayton, is still working. She's still working in the field of civil rights, human rights, all aspects of man and womankind when she can help those who need help. Guess what? She goes to her office at 3 o'clock, between 3 and 3:30 every morning of the business week. And if you want to meet her there, you better be there at 4 o'clock. She started setting her agenda. And man, I just be getting my second wind of sleeping. I usually get up early in the morning, 3 or 4, and do my meditation work. But she's already at the office. And then guess what? I go back to bed. But she's at the office. I might get up at 3 or 4. My wife will tell you that's my meditation moment or hour that I transmit to the Lord, to the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, what I want to accomplish. But I just want to give all of the women throughout the world the International Month of Women, but particularly the impactful moment of today to none other than Miss Xernona Clayton. And we want you to know, Miss Clayton, we respect you, we love you. I was inducted into the Trumpet Award in Los Angeles a few months ago, the same arena that you saw the Oscar just prior to us coming on this program a day or two ago. It was the same event that she had with the Trumpet Award in the aspect of the indoctrination of Reverend Jesse Jackson, indoctrination of the Urban League, Mark Mariel, and also Derek Johnson of the NAACP, and yours truly, SCLC President. We were honored, and I want you to know that was one of the most rewarding experiences that I've had, that Miss Xernona Clayton awarded and participated and reciprocated to the work that those four organizations have done over the many, many of years in terms of leadership. And I just want her to know that we love her, we appreciate her, and I wish I could just share a portion of my speech, but knowing our great producer, he might let you hear a part of it. We're going to pause now because Ambassador Young was there as well, and there were many others. Somebody said at least 20 or 22 who gave recognition and homage and appreciation to Miss Clayton. Again, congratulations and Godspeed. Godspeed, only His speed could elevate someone like Miss Clayton to be so impactful among all of us who was on that program and all of us throughout the world that she has touched. Thank God for Miss Xernona Clayton. Godspeed. We'll see you next week, because love is what love does. And we love you, Miss Clayton. Have a great day.
Xernona came here in 1961 when none of this, there was nothing here. Look around. None of this was here. The tallest building later became across the street, the Hyatt, with the blue light on top. And this city has been reborn by the energy and the spirit that came out of the civil rights movement. When people say, what happened to the civil rights movement after Dr. King went transitioned to glory, said, we developed a loving kingdom here in the city of Atlanta that reached out to all the world to let us know that it's possible for us not only to be a city too busy to hate, but a state, a nation, and a place where peace can dwell on earth, where the hungry can be fed, the naked can be clothed, and where we can develop educational systems that'll let us all evolve into the children of God that we're intended to be. Xernona Clayton was one of the first that stood with Martin Luther King down on Auburn Avenue. And she nursed the King children. She played the piano and organ at Antioch Baptist Church. She just walked in the church. The piano player wasn't there, and was sick. And Cameron Alexander said, "Is there anybody here who can play a piano?" And she volunteered. She went up, and I think she said she stayed almost 16 months. But she has been here, the spiritual loving base of Martin Luther King's expression of the kingdom of God here on earth.
It was the impact that Mrs. Clayton played on me. Every Sunday night, I would get in front of that TV, and she would interview people like Ambassador Young, others in the civil rights movement and political leaders. And that was before I became an elected official. And then I told my wife one day, I said, I'd like to meet her. That was way before I really met her. Not knowing that she would be one of my best friends. You know, coming over to Atlanta and taking over the responsibility of being president and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference was tough, and still is. Because many times people said, SCLC and the civil rights movement is no longer needed. But Mrs. Clayton would inspire me. And she would say, you hang in there. You're doing a great job. I get calls from all over the country. And folks said, Xernona Clayton told me to call you because I should talk to you. And I just want to say to Miss Clayton this evening that it's because of you that my wife and I are very close. And it's because of you that instill love that you have that's conveyed to us that I'm able to go to Selma and march and keep on marching and go around the country to Cleveland, Ohio and fight for justice for people, because we still need the civil rights movement. But it's because of you, Mrs. Clayton. It's because you called.
It has already been stated by Ambassador Young that I was sort of raised by Miss Clayton. And I remember probably around the age of 5 or 6 years old, being in the offices of SCLC. And Miss Clayton and her then husband, Ed Clayton, were there every day working. So Miss Clayton knew me, obviously, before I knew me. But there's no greater honor than what is being done today by this monument that will be here forever. But I also remember when Dad last went to Memphis. It was Miss Clayton, I believe, who took him to the airport. And also, after he was killed 55 years ago this year in April, she was one of the first ones to be at our home and by our sides for those 9 days. And then after we grieved for those periods of time. Now, you know, I always heard people say something calling her big. And as a kid, I heard the story that I know she has a sister, maybe at least one, and maybe her sister was called Lil and she was called Big, but I always thought, I was trying to figure out, what does that mean? And I came to the conclusion that it really was talking about her big ideas and ability to execute them. Because when you think about it, you know, it is said that a people that do not remember their history are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. When you think about the concept of the Trumpet Awards, that forever should be etched in our minds to honor not just African American, but certainly African American excellence. Just think about the years that people have been honored. This was part of her vision and her execution alone. And then the fact that there are footprints, I believe at the Martin Luther King Jr. Visitor Center, the shoes of heroes and heroines. So this history is here for all of us. And it's so important right now when they're trying to X us out of history. I never thought we'd be living in a nation where the goal would be to eliminate African American history. What are we doing about it? Miss Clayton is leading us and has left us a blueprint. Dad and Mom taught us that it only takes a few good women and men to bring about change. We need to get engaged. This is the 60th year of the anniversary of the March on Washington. And we need to go back and quadruple our efforts, because things are going in the wrong direction. But we, as a community, black and white, Native American, Latino, Hispanic American, an example that Ms. Clayton has shown us, we can change all that. So I just wanted to come by and be here, be a part of this. I thank Ms. Clayton for inviting me, and more than anything else, we all love you so much. But we will never be able to thank you for what you've done. That will be here forever. Thank you, and God bless you.
I didn't know them. And they sat at my table in my conference room and said to me, "We want to do something because we've been inspired by watching you and reading about you and knowing the many things you do for others, that somehow we need to take what you have been sharing," this is their language, "and we want to preserve it at a point that you will live long after you're dead and gone." I couldn't believe it and didn't quite understand it at first. And they said, "We've got money to back our wish. We want to build something." Because they said they checked with their 11-year-old son and said, "Do you know Xernona Clayton?" And he said, "No." He said, "As long as we live, we don't want anybody who will not know about the name of Xernona Clayton." Well, tears uncontrollably ran down my face. I thought they were trying to kill me off, really. And they said, "We've got money to back our wish." And that's how the statue became their wish, that I will live after I'm dead. And I said, "First, let me clarify one thing. I'm not going to die. I may leave, but I'm not going to be dead." Here are the two people now who exemplified Martin III, what Dr. King said. Dr. King said, "I believe in my heart that one day we as blacks and whites will find a way to come together as a family of the universe." Here are members of my new family. They kick-started us project with funding from their own pockets and became this reality, which you'll see in just a moment. Both people were one Caucasian American and this beautiful woman who is, let me call it, Latino, I want to call the right adjective. They are my new family. And we have invited you here because you are our extended family. Blacks and whites together, because I insist all the time that that's the way I want to be in the environment of everybody, regardless of who they are and what their ethnicity is. So thank you too for kicking off this project, and for those you'll meet in a moment who had contributed significantly to this statue. Now,